Okay, I've got the game open, I've got my folders open, I've got a drink ready and a snack. Let's do some game dev. Alright, so I have an idea, and I want to try to make it work. This is a loot-based game. You know, the idea is that you defeat an enemy, and it drops loot, or you... Oh, is my computer not going to work today? Let's see how this goes. The idea is that you defeat an enemy and it drops loot. You use that loot to equip your characters to defeat more enemies that drop more loot. Think Borderlands, think Diablo, whatever. But it's a turn-based RPG instead of an ARPG or a first-person shooter. I don't really need to show an example of this, but one of the things that both Borderlands and Diablo, which this game is inspired by, do with their loot systems is that when you defeat an enemy, you don't just get a menu of the things that they drop, but they actually have an animation of them doing a whole loot-splosion of like a bunch of different colored lights flying out, and it's fancy and exciting and engaging and interesting. This game doesn't have that. Instead, you defeat an enemy and a menu opens up showing this is what they dropped. Nothing wrong with that, but I'm wondering if I can do something different, something a little bit better, something a little bit more exciting. And I'm wondering how to make that work. So I'm thinking there are a couple of steps that I'll need to take to make that happen. First of all, I have some decisions to make, and it's... Okay, let's start with the first decision. Should enemies display that animation the second that they're killed, or should it be at the end of the battle? And I'm thinking it should be at the end of the battle. And the reason for that is because during boss fights, enemies can respawn. And they show up as reinforcements, basically. So if you kill an enemy after about 15 turns, they'll respawn. The reason for that is because there are characters that get kill skills, where they kill an enemy and then they get buffs or different abilities. And I don't want those skills to be useless during boss fights where it's just you against the boss. So they do have minions that respawn so that you can trigger your kill skills continuously. But because they respawn, when they respawn, they don't add to the loot pool. It's not how many enemies you killed in the battle, it's how many enemies are in the troop that determine how much loot you get at the end of the battle. So if they respawn and they have that animation display every time they're killed, it could be misleading as to how much loot is actually being dropped. So I'm thinking instead that I'm going to make an animation play at the end of the battle. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. But then that begs another question. How do I want that animation displayed? Do I want it to appear over the bodies of the slain enemies, or do I want it to appear just kind of in the air, out of nowhere? And I think it would be kind of cool if I could display an animation over the body of each enemy that's killed. But in order to do that, I then need to make it so that enemies stay on screen when they are killed. And not only that, I need to make sure that they are still marked as dead. Like, not something that is like, oh, you dealt enough damage, they're still on screen, but they're recovering. Like, no, they're dead. So I need to make sure that the visual communication to the player is clear. But I need to find a way to make sure that the enemies appear to stay on screen after death without being targetable or anything like that. That should be doable. That, I think, is easy. Then once all that's done, then I can create an animation that displays over the sprite of the deceased enemy. And what I'm probably going to have to do is, instead of... because this is the script that determines their drop rates, instead of having them push a number that's within the threshold of rarities of items that they can drop when they die, instead I'll actually probably have to push generate a random number within that rarity in this script, and then when the loot is actually generated, instead of generating a random number in here, I would have to fix the rarity to what was generated within the troop. Okay, so a couple things. First off, to see if this is even possible, let's start with figuring out how do we make enemies stay on screen after death. Let's start with that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring in a debug enemy. I'm just going to drop it right here. Let's see, slimes. Yeah, that's good. Okay, good. And I'm not going to do anything too much to change that enemy there. Now these are slimes, so let's go down to my script that is handling the side view battling. And I believe somewhere around here, yeah, game enemy, here we go. Let's see, enemy... Equipped weapon, screen, collapse animation settings. This is one here. This is one part of it. Enemy sprite stays on screen after death, disappears from the battle like normal. Special app, collapse animation, explode, collapse. Okay, so I'm just going to search for this in the update collapse. Boss collapse of 2, yeah, okay. And then, let's see. Okay, there's a couple things here that I do need to kind of look at. Okay, so here's the other thing. Because enemies can respawn during boss fights, they only ever respawn during boss fights. I want it to make sure that during a boss fight, enemy sprites will disappear after they're killed, but during a normal encounter, they stay on screen. So I think what I'm going to do here is within the script that determines their collapse type, what is my boss health bar script? Because that will always be on. My boss health bar switch will always be on during a boss fight. It's game switch 38. So let's do something here. Within this collapse type, if game switch game underscore switch it. Oh my god. Switches. Switches. Holy 38. So if the boss HP bar script is on, or switch is on, that means that you are in a boss fight. Return return 2. Else, we're going to bring this in. And if, so if the switch is on, it's going to return the normal disappearing animation. If the switch is off, it's going to check enemy IDs and then return one based on that. And otherwise, if it can't find one, it will return 2 by default. So let's see here. Let's find the enemy IDs for those sprites. Or, not sprites, slimes. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's easy. Okay. Oh, I should probably add the elite and the big slimes as well. So 1 to 5, 63, and 89. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 63, and 89. When any of those is the enemy ID, we're going to return 1. And I may actually make it so that it by default returns 1 and then... Actually, no, I'll... You know what? Actually... This is not where I need the enemy ID. Instead, I'm just going to make it that it returns 1 if the switch isn't on, which means I actually don't need the default anymore, because it's only ever going to be one of the two. The switch is either on or off. There we go. Okay. Now, there should be class state incapacitated, has the highest priority, return dead. Okay. There is a script somewhere in here, and I believe it's this here, for actors, when they are incapacitated, they have a animation setting for when they're knocked out, and it may not actually be for the actor. It may just be for the battler. Let me take a look. Is it class state? It might be. No. Yes. Oh, okay. This one script has been a lot to work with because I didn't write this. This is the Tank and Tai side view battle system from like 15 years ago. Okay, I'm gonna have a bite of my toast here. Hold on. I'm just gonna think about this for a second. Okay. Okay. Aha. Okay. I'm going to make use of some of this stuff here. But before I do, that's the only place that's used, eh? I know this is so boring. I'm staring at a screen and I'm not talking. Sorry, I'm just trying to think here. I'm trying to figure out how this animation pattern is called, and it looks like it's called by when that state is assigned. But I don't know if that works for all sprites or just the actor. It should work for both, but I know it doesn't. Okay, let's just start with one thing first, just real simple. Let's test what we've already done, which is just checking to see if we can make enemy sprites stay on screen after death. They don't have a special animation for it. Oh yeah, I gave Mel armor. I don't know if you remember what she looked like before. She sort of wore a dress and had a mantle, but now she actually has a chest plate and pauldrons, but she still has her skirt for the cloth portion of her armor. She's fighting vampires. She should be dressed for battle. Anyway, let's face these slimes and see what happens. So when they die, they stay on screen. I cannot target them, but they don't have a special death animation, and I don't know why. They should. There should be no reason why they behave any differently than an actor. But they do stay on screen, so that's at least something. Let me check something. Stand by. Repeat. If repeat action is not equal to okay. Yeah, that's where I have all my... Okay. I'm not sure how to figure out... Why is that not working for the... So, just as an example... Oops, nope. Change HP. We'll say for Mel, decrease by 9999. Yeah, allow knockout, okay. Just to show you what it looks like when Mel, or an actor, dies. It looks like that. They lay down on their side. Their sprite is rotated 90 degrees. It changes so that it's back facing. And they don't move. But when these slimes die, the sprite stays on screen and nothing changes. They're still animated, they're still moving. They don't rotate and they're not back facing. I wouldn't want that to happen with these slimes anyway. I would only want that for like human characters. But if I can figure out a way to make it so that these slimes that are dead get the same sprite orientation and configuration as when an actor is dead, that's a good start. That would be a good place to start. Oh my gosh. There we go. Hold on a second. What is the super for this script? Is it... Sprite Battler. Let me check Sprite Battler. Okay, yeah, this isn't necessarily specifically for actors or enemies, it's just for all battlers. Okay. I'm going to think about this for a second. I'm actually just going to pause the recording because I'm a little bit stumped, and I'll unpause when I come to an idea. I figured it out. Okay, yep. So look at this. In this script here, this is where it's actually assigning those animations based on what state is inflicted. Next, if the battler is an enemy and the state extension includes except enemy. In the configuration for this state, when won, no pop except enemy. So that's why. So, I need to remove that. And now I'm going to try two things. One, I'm going to test if it works. It does. Good. Now I'm going to turn on switch 38, which is my boss HP script, which should kill them normally, and I'm going to test to see if it still works. It seems to work. Yeah. Okay, cool. So they disappear during quote-unquote boss battles. If I turn that switch back off. Yep. They die. I don't like the fact that they don't play their death sound effect. But they do die. I don't like how the sprite rotates. I'm going to do something unique for different sprites. I'm thinking what I'll do is that sprite, the slimes will... They won't rotate, but they'll shrink, and they'll kind of flatten. Oh, and there's a loot drop. See, that's what I want. I want a little animation to appear over the enemy that dropped this short sword to indicate at the end of the battle, oh, boom, here you go, you're dropping loot. But okay, that solved that problem. So now, the next thing... I'm going to worry about individual animations on a later date. I'm probably not going to record that. That's, I think, fairly simple to do. Should be anyway. Actually, you know what? Let's try putting in the base code now, and then I'll do the configurations for different enemies later. If repeat action is not equal to dead, then here's what I'm going to do. So, actually, if repeat action is equal to dead, I don't like using double negatives, so yeah. If not, then else. No. So if it is dead, then we're going to run this code. Otherwise, we're going to run all this code. In this code, what we're going to do, if battler dot is a game enemy, there we go. Other way of doing that would just be if battler actor, but no. So if battler is a game enemy, then we're going to do this. I should not have deleted the code that I used earlier, but that's fine. It's not a big deal. I can just take this. I'm going to just copy this whole case statement here. Case enemy ID. Now, hold on a second. That's not being... Oh, is that? Hold on a second. Let me check something. I'm going to see if this is relevant anywhere else. It is. Okay. Battler.enemyID. Yes, that's actually what I want. So, case battler.enemyID. There we go. Now, what was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It was something like 60 something and 80 something. I'm just gonna check those IDs real quick. 89 and 63. That was excessive. There we go. So if it's any of these IDs, that means it's slime. What we're gonna do is repeat action is equal to thing that we make. And then with this code, I can overwrite the death animation with whatever we choose based on the enemy ID. So, thing that we make, we are going to take that. We're going to make a thing. All the way up where it says dead, which is right around here. Okay, we're going to go dead, and we'll say dead flat. And we'll use this for ones that are flat instead of dead. And what we're going to do, so the normal dead animation uses this fallen state. We are not going to do that. So not fallen. I don't think we need to actually do anything then, because it's not, they're not being rotated. So what we are going to do, however, is Y shrink. And I'm just going to actually make a, hold on a sec. I don't think that's being used anywhere else, but just to make sure. Dead shrink. There we go. We're going to create a separate instance of this. Stretches battler sprite horizontally by a factor of x. 1 is the normal size. So, oh, hold on. Type zoom xy. Why is this? Let's kind of line that up better. Okay. Time zoom xy. So the time is, yeah, fine. We'll keep that. X scale, we want 1. Y scale, vertically, yeah, so 0.5 would be half size. Let's go 0.25. Return, true. End of rotation is the same as duration. False, zoom animation as defined. Battler zoom is still temporary. Oh. Is there a way to make it not temporary? Because that would be great. Let's just set return to false, and we're going to try something. No, I didn't mean to do that. Okay. This is going to be dead shrink. And now dead flat is going to be the thing that we make. And now, theoretically, when these slimes die, theoretically, when they die, they should flatten. but they shouldn't rotate. Assuming the code makes sense and works. I'm sorry, there's a bug flying in my face, and I think oh, I don't want to fight an elite. Not for this. Just keep it simple. I think I just slapped the microphone because there was a bug flying in my face. Sorry if that peaked or something. Okay, let's test. Ready, go. Why? That obviously didn't work. Okay, hold on a sec. Repeat action is equal to state.base action. Data push, repeat action. Okay, and then if repeat action is not equal to... Oh, okay. Hold on a second. Because this is all the stuff that happens when this is not equal to dead, which is what we had before. We just kind of added an extra case situation for when it is equal to dead. This might be the issue here. I am going to try that real quick. Oh, but if this is cycling through repeatedly... Okay, I think I just thought of something else. I'm just going to try what I just did. If it works, great. If it doesn't, I'll try something new. I have an idea. Let's just test this first. Nope, still rotating. That shouldn't be happening, because it shouldn't be using that animation. Also, I don't need to keep Mel dead. She can live. Okay, I think this might be the issue. This is not a permanent fix. No, that's not going to work either. I mean, it might. Let's because I think what's happening is if it's cycling through that every frame and updating their animation, then it's going to be like, oh, it's not this, so then set it to this. Oh, but it's now this, so set it to this. And it's just going to keep kind of rotating through, and it's not actually reading it properly. I suspect... I don't think that's actually going to fix anything, but if crazier things have happened with this game. No, yeah, I didn't think so. I just kind of wanted to try. Okay. Okay, give me a minute. No, okay, we're good. We're good. Wait a second. Hold on. Ugh. It's still not working. How long have I been paused? I don't... Okay, well, I don't know. Maybe I screwed something up. Anyway, that's a flat slime. I don't know how much I've already said that I was paused for. Anyway, yeah, so... It's a flat slime, but it does it twice, and I don't like that. I figured out what I was doing wrong. I like the fact that that's their death animation, though. It just kind of... I realized the victory animation I may need to change as well, and that's okay. I'll work on that another time. I don't like how it shrinks from the middle, and I don't like that it shrinks twice. That's weird. But I figured out what I was doing wrong. Basically, there was just two parts of the code. One here, and one here, that I only had done this one, and I should not have done that. And actually, now that I think about it, I think I can fix that repeating squish if I just do one thing here. I'm going to try this. I'm going to comment this out for a second. I'm going to make this not equal to dead. If repeat action is not equal to dead, or this is temporary. This is not a permanent fix. I'm pretty sure one of them, it's duplicating itself, and it's not supposed to, but I think that that's because I only need to call it once, and I'm pretty sure I only need to call it in the other script. So let's find out. It's a big slime! Okay, I'm gonna slash you, and you squish twice. Why do you squish twice? Don't squish twice. That's not... I do like that. It looks a little bit weird, but I can tweak it. I can work on it. The point is, it works. I can fix it later, but it does work. So I'm not going to stress too much over that. What I am going to do is test with a different type of enemy to see if they also squish or if they fall over, because it should be only the slimes will squish, because we identified them by their enemy ID. But we have to test to make sure, because if a Thrall squishes, that's bad. Nope, they fall over. Perfect. Okay, that's good. I may want to make some more adjustments to that as well. Maybe make them so that they turn gray or something, just to really emphasize that they're dead. But I'm not going to worry about that too much right now. The other thing I do kind of want to test a little bit here, I'm going to see what happens if these Thralls are revived. Will they get back up? Or will they just glitch out? Let's find out. Because I'm way faster than them, I'm going to set the ATB mode to active. And it should be the only thing they do is just try to revive each other. Okay, so she gets up, but it looks like until she takes an action, she doesn't actually... Why are you attack? Oh, because there's a cooldown on that skill, that's why. I'm just going to wait for that to cool down then. In a second. It should only be like a 5-turn cooldown. What's going on here? Okay, let me try a different encounter. Okay, so she is on her back right now, and she is not moving. She's not upright. That just looks weird. She's moving, she's awake, but until she takes an action, then she stands up. That's an easy fix, though, I think. Okay, actually, yeah, that's a really easy fix. All I need for that is weight normal, this here. Let's just see here. Dead shrink. We're gonna go back here. Not that. We're gonna call this no, hold on. No rotate. Time 1 start is going to be 0, end is 0, return is false. Just line that up. And I'm going to copy this. Weight normal. We're actually going to put in a rotation reset at the start of that animation. It shouldn't necessarily make anything any... It shouldn't interrupt anything, but what that should do is that as soon as they get up and they go into their idle animation, it should reset their character. Let's see if that breaks anything. So far, everything looks fine. Nobody's acting all weird and glitchy. We're good so far. Let's take out 2 of these guys, and I didn't set the... Here. Okay, you're up, but why are you not vertical? You should be vertical. Okay, well, you take damage when you stay vertical. I wonder... Why is it that they reset... I'm curious about something. Weapon animations? Nope. Battler rotation. Throwing weapon rotation. I'm just trying to figure out where the angles are taken into consideration. Huh. There's only a handful of places where that actually happens. So why is that? I thought for sure that would work. I don't know why that didn't. Yeah, I don't know why that didn't. I'm gonna try something. Give me a second. Okay, I figured something out that should have been obvious. I don't know why I didn't... Wait, what? What just happened? Okay. Yeah, I figured out what I did wrong. I put this in the wrong thing. Because the idle animation for enemies is not weight normal, it's weight. So let's put that in there and see if that makes any difference. This is just a day in the life of a game dev trying to figure out things that he doesn't even know if they'll actually be able to work. So far, looking at them, no weird stuttering or anything in their animations, so that's okay. He's on his back. Sorry, old man. Let's just see what happens when she gets him back up. He's back up. And he's vertical. And he's just immediately, yep, I'm up. I'm good. Let's keep going. I'm just gonna... And she's up. Excellent. Okay. Now if I take them both down... Away we go. Okay. Good. The only other thing that I'm noticing, and I really want to fix it because it's bugging the crap out of me, why is the death sound effect not playing? The animation of them falling over, fine, sure. Why is the sound effect not playing? And I think it has something to do with the, excuse me, the animation type. Let me take a look here. It's down here. Collapse type, here we go. So let's look for this in here. Normal collapse. What's this? Normal collapse. If game... Yep, so that's the explosion thing. Sound play enemy collapse. Okay. So I need that bit of code. Update collapse. Normal collapse if it's equal to... okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this. Sound play enemy collapse if collapse type is equal to 1. Why is this not in a case statement? It doesn't really matter. I'll use that for now. Let's test that and see if it just plays a sound effect repeatedly over and over and over again. It shouldn't. It should just, they die and then the sound effect plays and they go into their death animation. It didn't do it. Why? Okay, still gonna keep that. Let's just get rid of that for now. Update collapse. Where is that being called? Where is that being called? Where is that being called? Is it in scene battle? No. What the heck? Where is that function being called? No. Active time battle maybe? No. Is it in game battler? No. Battle action? No. What the heck? Sprite battler? There we go. Okay. Right, of course it would be sprite battler. Huh. Okay, let me check something here. Normal collapse. Yeah, so basically if it's, yeah, it's the explosive animation for elite enemies. Otherwise, effect duration is equal to 47 sound play enemy collapse, blend type 1, color set, okay, alright. And then that's the boss collapse. Collapse action. Hold on a second. Non-repeat equals true. Effect type equals collapse. Collapse type equals battler.collapse type unless they're an actor. Right. Okay. Makes sense. Battler visible equals false unless they're an actor. Huh. Is there a point where it actually skips the collapse animation altogether based on their collapse type? That's a good question. Where... Okay, give me a minute. Okay, I figured it out. Yeah, I don't know why it wasn't working the first time. I just put it in with the actual collapse action method here. I went with actor claps instead of enemy claps, though, just because the sound effect actually, I think the sound effect just sounds better in that sense. Let's kind of see what, I'll just kind of demonstrate. Okay, so, well, they're twins, I guess. And they play their death, they go to their death animation state, where they're on their side, and they're back-facing, and they're not moving, and a slight sound effect plays. Excellent. Okay. And, if they go to revive their fellow Thrall, they're back up on their feet, they're moving. Perfect. Okay. That is what I want. I'm going to get rid of that reviving skill, because that's just for testing. Okay, so, good progress so far. We've made it so that enemies stay on screen after dying, but they still have a death state animation. They've got the sound effect playing. I'm going to work on the flattening animation for the slimes. I'll kind of tweak things for different enemies as I go along, but I'm not going to do that here. Now, let's see if we can make an animation play. We're not going to worry about why it would play. We're not going to worry about the criteria for that. Let's just see if we can make an animation play on the body of the sprite at the end of the battle. So, scene battle. Let's do one quick thing here. This is essentially where our dropped items are made. Let's see where that is called. I believe it would be in scene battle. Make drop items. So display drop items. Let's back that up a bit here. Process victory. Here we go. So, let's put in a little thingamer here. Now, game troop. For enemy and dead members. That should... Okay, I'm actually... Yes, I'm going to use that. In scene battle here. And what we're going to do for enemy in game... Ooh, hold on a sec. Try this. Yeah, it is all lowercase. Where was I just working? It was in here. Here we go. In game troop.dead members for enemy in game troop.dead members. End. There we go. This is where we're going to display that animation. And I'm going to use the same code that I used for my seize animations. Okay, where did I put that? Seize chain animation. Okay, act about if they're an actor. Okay. We're gonna do this. I'm gonna copy that code. We're gonna bring this in here. I'm just gonna do this. Okay. Hold up. Will that work? That should just work. Yeah. That's just including the p.push m if m. Yeah. Okay. Actually, yeah. Okay, give me a quick second here. Let me see if I can... yeah, it should be in-game troop.dead members. This may be redundant. I think I'm making this harder on myself than it needs to be, but I'm gonna do something here. I'm gonna create an array of targets and push... Yeah, why the heck am I doing that? If anything, just do this. Oh, don't get rid of the code I need, you dummy. M is equal to gametroop.dead members display normal animation M 152 if m.size is greater than 0. That might not actually be necessary. That's a bit redundant. I could just put that in there, theoretically, assuming this actually works. But let's just try that. Now this, I don't have an animation lined up for this, but what that will do is we'll play the seize animation for chain lightning on all dead members. If I did this right. Let's find out. Take you down, take you down, take you down, and... Huh. Okay, yeah, it wouldn't be fun if it just worked right on the first time. Oh, well, yeah, because I'm playing an animation on something that's technically not on screen. Smarty pants. Okay, I'll be right back. Oh, I'm dumb. Yeah, it's obvious. Put in a wait. It was displaying the animation, but before it could even show the animation, it was immediately going to the end of the, like, it just ended the battle. Put in a wait, and also maybe put it in before that point, although that might actually not matter. Let me actually test that. Let me put that in there. And I'm actually going to make this wait 30 frames. Okay, so now, when all the enemies are killed, it should display a little animation of a little spark. One, two. Okay, so it's going to display... There we go. That worked. Okay, let's try that again. So it shows our little victory message, and then that animation we're going to replace with a loot drop animation if they actually drop loot. So here's what I'm going to do. I may need to actually write a separate script here. Display drop items. Give me a second. Where is game troop? Here we go. Make drop items. Ah. Where is... Okay, scene battle. Display drop items. Down here... If drop items at length is greater than 0, then scene loot table. Okay. Okay. I think I've figured this out here. So down here, yeah, it just returns the list of dropped items. Ooh, okay. This will work. This will work. Back into scene battle here. Display drop items. I can actually put this right in here instead of up here. So we're going to cut that, and we're going to put it down here instead. And what we're going to do, so this is getting the list of drop items from Game Troop. And then... Okay, alright. We are going to... Yep, okay. I'm saying yep, okay a lot, but I'm not actually, I'm just processing different thoughts here. So I think what I want to do is I want to make it so that this will return a couple of things. So up in game troop here, what we're going to do this needs to be a random number, not a ratio, or not a, yeah, this is basically the number that it could generate between 0 and this for a dropped item based on its drop chance. So this is common, uncommon, rare, epic, legendary. And what I think I want to do, before I change that, I'm just going to have my thoughts go in circles a couple of times is what I'm going to do. This is where it shows that it's dropping a shard. So it is adding a value to the array. This here, where is it? This here is where it's dropping, it's basically skipping dropping an item. It's like, yep, you failed the drop chance, you're not dropping anything. So what I'm going to do is this. Yeah. Drop chance dot push nil. And there's a reason why I'm going to do that. I'm going to copy that, put that here, and then I'm going to go back to scene battle. So all I'm doing there is that if they drop nothing, I'm actually going to put nothing into the array. But I'm going to do one thing here. For m in gametroop.dead members, stop it. Game troop in dead members, there we go. Okay, I'm going to go t is equal to an empty array. For m in gametroop.dead members, hold on a second. Sorry, my brain just did a couple backflips. It didn't hurt as much as it sounds. What I need to do is I need to make it so that it cycles through the list of dropped items. And if it finds a value, that means that an item was dropped, and that dead member that dropped that item that corresponds with the ID in that array is the one that displays the animation to actually show this enemy dropped that item. I don't think I actually want to be cycling through dead members. Hold on a second. I think for m in drop items, let's go with that. Oh my god, I cannot type today. For m in drop items, what we're going to do is m.index should work, right? If m is not equal to nil, so unless m is equal to nil, or if it's not equal to nil, I should say, what we're going to do then is t dot push game troop dot dead members at m dot index. Yes, that should work. Oh, excuse me. And I can actually just do that in one line of code here. Make it a little bit cleaner. Yes. So I have an empty array T. Okay, now I don't actually need to cycle through that. Now, if T.size targets.size is greater than 0, display the normal animation on all the targets. I should be... Let's do a better naming scheme for our variables here. I in items. M for members. M.push. There we go. Display normal animation on the members if members.size is greater than 0. And then, now actually, here's the thing. I don't want to wait if there is no dropped item. So if M.size is greater than 0, then do both of those. Good. Then, I need to remove all instances of nil. So, drop items.delete nil. That should work if drop items is greater than 0. I don't want to delete something from an empty array. And I may need to actually run a check to see if it includes nil. So none of these guys may drop an item, in which case it shouldn't do anything. But it may crash. Let's find out. It crashed. I kind of figured. Oh, drop items not size. There we go. Yeah, you can't check to see if an entire array is greater than 0, but you can check to see if the size of that array is greater than 0. The fact that that's what made it crash is actually a little bit encouraging. That tells me that the code might actually be fine. I just was dumb for a second. I'm actually just going to make this quick. Blow you all up. It did not crash. That is good. So here's what I'm going to do now. I am going to, within the Thrall enemy, I'm going to make it drop a weapon, which means it is guaranteed to drop an item now. Typically, that's just reserved for bosses. I'm just going to use it on the Thralls just to force them to drop an item and see what happens. This should work. So now they should all drop an item and they should all have a little animation appear. And ready? Nope. Oh, well, yeah, doy, because I'm a big old dum-dum. I'm basically, yeah. Game tree make drop items. Okay, yeah. I actually think I need to create an index counter. So we'll go index is equal to 0. Int is equal to 0 for I and drop items. If I is not equal to nil, then game troop dead members at that index, and then end is plus equal to 1. There we go. We'll just create our own counter for that loop because I am not thinking clearly enough to just remember what to do for. I think it's ID instead of index. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. This will work just fine. Or at least it should. Zap. And 2 little animations appeared over the 2 corpses and 2 items dropped. Excellent. We're going to do something a little bit different here now. We're going to set them back to their normal drop rate, but I'm going to... Is that right? 25? Right, 25 means 2.5% drop chance. So we're going to set gold to 1,000 instead of 25. No, that's 100%. I want 50%. I want them to drop an item half the time. And my hope is that after testing this a couple times, we'll do a couple different test battles to see what happens here. It should be that only the ones that drop items will actually display a little animation. So those two did. Whoa! That's that's like literally a 1 in 100,000 chance of a legendary dropping from a Thrall, because their drop rate is normally just for common loot. See the little white shield? So the fact that they just decided to drop a legendary all of a sudden is kind of crazy. That's cool. But okay, 2 of them had that little animation show up. I'm going to take that just for fun. And 2 items dropped. So let's try that again. One of them dropped. Something's not right here. Yeah, something isn't right if they're dropping legendaries like that. I think I may have screwed up something where I just didn't. So 3 of them dropped. Yeah, something's definitely wrong here. Oh, I know exactly what happened. I didn't change something in the loot table, but I'll fix that in a second. Okay, so 3 of them dropped. Let's try another set here. What I'm noticing is that it's like this one dropped an item, this one dropped an item. It's only the first 2. Why is it only the first 2? Is that just coincidence, or did I screw something up? The first one, again. It should be like, okay, this one didn't drop, but this one did, but this one didn't drop, but this one did, and then these 2 display an animation. Instead, it's only like these 2. It's always starting from the left. That may just be a horrible coincidence and I'm really unlucky. And they just didn't drop anything that time, okay. Again, only 1. Why only 1? What's going on? Okay. This is my last test. If this doesn't work... Okay, one more test of them actually dropping things. Oh, for crying out, come on now. Both of them, come on, just one test where some of them drop something, but some of them don't. And I want to see if it's only starting from the left or not. It's, again, only the left. Okay, why am I getting so many legendaries? That's the weird part. Yeah, it's kind of weird that it's so many legendaries, because their drop rarity is only E. I will figure that out. I don't think this... No, that shouldn't change anything there. Oh. No, I think I know why they're dropping so many legendaries. Anyway, I'll fix that later. For now, I'm more worried about this. Int is equal to 0. For I and drop items, m.push the dead member at this index if I is not equal to nil. So if the item that is dropped is not equal to nil, is it just... Oh. Okay. I'm gonna try something. I don't think this will make a difference. It might make a difference. We're gonna find out. Game troop. Here we go. Drop chance dot push -2 and -2. So -2 will basically mean that they drop nothing. -1 means they drop a shard. 0 and above is actual loot with rarity. -2 can mean nothing, and we'll just remove those values from the arrays. Yeah, I think I know what's going on with the legendary drop rate, though. That's just my own stupidity. Oh, come on. Okay, here we go. All three of them dropped an item. Okay. Again, only the first one. This is not agreeing. Zap them, and what do we got? The first two. Again, why only the first two? It should be that it cycles through. Unless I'm doing something just stupidly, blatantly dumb that I'm just overlooking, and that's probable. That's most likely what's happening. Give me a second, I'll figure this out. Okay, I figured something out. Yeah, I'm an idiot because this is not an array of values that determine the drop rarity. These are the actual drops themselves. Because I was an idiot and I forgot that down here, drop items actually creates the loot with those values and then returns the array of dropped items. I'm a dummy. But at the same time, that actually helps in a way. It doesn't help very much for this part, but it does help for determining what animation will play based on the rarity of the loot. Because this here has all the information, including the item rarities themselves. So, what I think I'm going to do is... There's still not really any way at this point to know who dropped what. Now, I may be able to change that. Okay, so this here, game troop make drop items, if I go... I could split this method into two. I could go make drop chance and then make drop items. Make drop items will actually create the loot. Make drop chance will actually figure out which enemies will drop loot and which ones won't. And then call the first method where am I? Here we go. Call the first method here, then check to see which ones actually dropped. Call the second method, check to see which ones dropped it. Call the second method to actually make the loot, and then figure out which animation should play for each individual drop, and then actually display the loot table. So let's do that. I'm going to split this method into two. So here's what I'm going to do. Oh, I can't really do that, can I? Yes, I can. That is going to take a fair bit of work, though. It's doable. It will work. But I'm going to do that off camera. Instead, what I'm going to do is try to... Where am I? Oh, for crying out loud. It's down here. What I am going to do is instead of... for I and drop items, so however many dropped items there are, I'm going to say m.push, so into this array, push game troop dot dead members at a random number, a random index of oh no, that's not going to work either. Yeah, that's not going to work. It might work. Basically, I just want to make it so that it pushes a random... You know what? How it's working right now is fine. Yeah, how it's working right now is fine. And I actually don't need this anymore because it's... I got rid of that already. Let me make sure I got rid of that. Yes, because I removed the nil, because I think that's actually what was screwing up the legendary drop rates, because it was pushing something that it wasn't supposed to be reading, and it was spitting out something it wasn't supposed to be spitting out. Anyway, so for item and drop items, m.push and okay, if m.size is greater than 0. Okay. So if the then what we're gonna do is if drop items okay. For no, okay. Because I just realized actually I'm not playing one animation on every enemy, I'm playing a separate animation for every rarity of item that drops. Okay. Well, you know what, actually, I think this is a decent enough place to close it off. Because I've pretty much accomplished what I set out to do, which is make it so that an animation plays on a sprite at the end of a battle after everything's been calculated. If they drop an item, that animation will play. I'm going to replace that animation with like a little spark or something to show like, oh, hey, it's an orange spark to show that a legendary item dropped, or it's a purple spark to show that an epic rarity item dropped. Or maybe I'll do like a little firework or something. I don't know. I'll figure that out. You know what? I'm going to... do one thing. Just one thing. If drop items at 0, so just the first item that drops, dot element set dot include. I just need to make sure I get the right ones there. Because yeah, element set is included in all of them. So let's say, where is it? System. So common is 14. If drop items at 0.elementset.include 14, what we're going to do is display this animation. Else, we're going to display a different animation. So the idea here, I'll just go 154. 3. I don't know. What animation is that? Let's find out. What's animation ID 153? This. So that will display if it's anything other than a common item. So what this should do is that if the first item that drops, only the first item, I'll fiddle around with it later, but if the first item that drops is common rarity, then it will display the spark animation that we saw before. If it's anything other than common rarity, it'll display a different animation. That, wow, okay. 4 Thralls, each with a 50% chance to drop an item, and none of them did. Lovely. I may still have something to fix with the... Okay, one thing dropped, and it's a common item, and it did the little spark thing. So, here's what we're going to do. We are going to increase the drop chance, or the drop rarity, I should say, of Thralls from E to D. That should make it so that their minimum rarity for dropped items is uncommon, which should still play an animation, but it will play a different animation. That's all that we'll do. Then what I'll do on the back end here after this recording is I will go in and I'll create separate animations for each rarity of item and make it so that perfect. It displayed the different animation, but still dropped the item. But it was an item and not a weapon or armor, so I couldn't really check to make sure that was uncommon. I'm pretty sure that is, but let's find out. Yep, perfect. Okay, alright, so that worked. So now, what I will do on the back end is I'm going to create animations for all 6 rarities, and I'll make it so that it cycles through and figures out which enemy dropped which rarity based on the order of that array. It will then display that type of animation over each enemy for each rarity, if that makes sense. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. But I'm going to do that off screen because that's more just tedious work. That's not, yeah. I just wanted to get some work done on this game, and I wanted to actually showcase a process of making weird stuff in a scripting language that I've never actually taken lessons in and don't really understand. But just trying to figure things out through trial and error and actually succeeding. So that's how I make scripts. But that's, yeah, now we have a little loot animation. By the time it's actually implemented in the game, it'll look really cool. But yeah, that's how I do stuff. So that's it for this video. I will catch you next time. The game's actually coming along really well so far. I should have the Liar Forest done first week of August. It's near last week of July right now, so first week of August I should have the Liar Forest done, then I can move on to a lesson, and by the end of September my goal is to have a new demo updated with all of these changes and live on itch and RPG Maker Web. I may be able to get the demo onto Steam. I'm not sure. That might be more work than I'm prepared to take on right now, but if I can do it, I will. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.